Welcome back to Sort of Sophisticated. Why do we even have to say anything about Sort of Sophisticated anymore? I figure by this point, what are we on? Episode 84? People would know that we're teaching people to be sort of sophisticated. We don't need do we need an intro?
I mean,
welcome back to Sort of Sophisticated. But we're not even teaching people stuff. I don't even know what we're doing.
Okay, you're in a tizzy today.
In a mood.
Holy moly. But I think you have to intro it because you're hoping that you find new people to grow your 100-person following.
That's true.
You always got to give a little snippet.
Shout out to the SOS Army, number one.
There you
Two, Sort of Sophisticated is where we try to make sense of the world, but we don't do a really good job at it. And we try to make you more cultured and curious. So there. And that lovely voice you heard was Amanda, as always. Hi, Amanda.
Hello.
I was editing the last episode.
Yes.
And it was insane how long it took us to get from sort of intro and chattiness to said episode. 99% my fault.
Oh, okay, thank you.
1% your fault. So I think we can just skip. Can we skip? Or do you have something life-altering that happened to you in the last week that I must hear about right now?
Last week, Stranger Things dropped.
Did you watch?
I did.
Yes. So my kids.
Oh, so good.
My kids binged 4 hours.
No, we sat there.
You did? I did not. Oh no, I could not. No, I caught up. I did one a day, which was
homie.
I was wow.
You can't. You got to watch all of it. And so I watched it while walking on my walking pad.
Yeah.
So I got 4 hours of walking in. It was great.
Badass mofo.
I was I had to. I was so anxiety ridden.
So what are you going to do about Christmas and New Year's? Are you going to watch on Christmas when it comes out and then New Year's?
Maybe.
I already talked to my kids. I said, no, we have people over. I'm I'm not doing that.
Make a viewing party. Who cares?
Oh my God.
It's a cultural phenomenon.
You are awesome. And by the way, that's what we're talking about today.
What?
We are. Not Stranger Things. But,
okay.
I mean, we can.
Mystical creatures.
Yeah. Okay.
Upside down.
So we can add in Stranger Things. But today we are talking about the 80s, the decade that refuses to die.
Let's go.
That is what this is all about. Yeah, one of the best decades that ever existed.
Yeah,
what?
I was born. Let's go.
Yeah, I lived. It was my era.
It's true.
You was born.
You got to enjoy it.
This was this was my
I was
era.
4 and then it was done.
So here,
I didn't get to embrace it.
The thing that totally threw me off about the 80s, blew me away. I didn't just pick the 80s because it was let's do a decade episode. It has staying power. Here's what I did. I was tell me in the last 150 years, what were the most cultural decades on the map?
Okay.
Right? And the 80s was one of the top 3. And I was floored. Because every decade you could say is awesome, right?
But I mean,
it has this, it has that.
What? The Roaring 20s has to be one.
Yes, the Roaring 20s. Yes.
What else?
The 1960s.
The 60s, not the 70s, not the hippie era?
No, we're going to do this. No, because I'll talk a little bit about why not. Right. And then the 80s. So those are considered the chosen decades. The only ones that have staying power. Right.
What happened in the 60s?
Civil rights happened. The whole, everything.
Okay,
right.
Fair.
And then, of course, you just talked about Stranger Things, season 5, Stranger Things.
It's true. All in the 80s.
80s. Everything's
Let's
the 80s.
go.
So this is what we're doing. We are doing this whole thing.
Okay. About the 80s. I'm ready. Teach young me what I should have.
Okay. I know what
learned.
I lived through. Yeah.
Okay, but we're going to skip the cultured and curious then, right? Because I think you're going to talk about it the whole episode.
That is basically what this episode is. My whole goal, just so you understand the whole bent here, is to try to explain why the 80s was so magical compared to other decades.
Okay.
Not just that it was a cool decade. You get the nuance.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful.
Why it was important. Okay, word of the day. Is it a word from the 80s?
Word of the day.
Kind of 6, 7 today.
Rad.
It was rad from the 80s?
Radical? Oh, totally rad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we said rad all the time.
My God,
Yeah.
So good.
Okay. Word of the day today is halcyon.
Okay.
Halcyon. Halcyon. It means calm, peaceful, or idyllic. Idyllic.
Okay.
It comes from the Greek word for kingfisher, which apparently is a type of bird, the kingfisher bird.
I knew that.
Right?
Yeah.
You can find almost anywhere. I did not know
Sure.
this. Okay, it's tied to a myth where the kingfisher used to soothe the winter seas so she could nest, which is where the term halcyon days came to mean a stretch of unexpected calm. I didn't.
All right, I think we're just cultured just from that.
Yeah,
the word of the day
I
today.
didn't know any of that shit. Right.
Okay.
So anyway, we have to figure out how to get halcyon, calm or peaceful, into this thing.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, but weren't the 80s totally not halcyon?
Okay. Did that just count?
Does that count?
You can't. You do that. You've been doing this lately.
Because I forget the word of the day by
But I mean, I argue is
section number 2.
It's a smart move.
I mean,
I like that you do it. Yes, they were the opposite of halcyon. I like that.
They were not idyllic.
Okay, I'm going to say that counts.
Okay, great.
You win, but
Check.
we are
Let's
still
go.
bonus if we can get it in again.
Okay. But see, you know what'd be great is
What?
if I had my money jar right here,
Yeah.
and you could actually put my dollar
Boop,
in.
beep,
But
beep,
anyways,
beep, beep. Yeah.
and then if I get it twice, then you should give me $5. Just kidding.
Deal. You did it when we did Stridulate. You did it like 100
It was
times.
great.
I
It was
like
just the
I had to
funniest
pay.
word.
It was
so
excellent.
funny.
You were just killing it.
Okay, so like the 80s.
Yeah.
Only 10 years for the decade, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Right.
But like, why is it so cool besides the fact that I was born in the 80s?
When were you born? 89?
86.
89 and a half?
86.
86. What's
Big
up?
4-0 next
Okay.
year. Here we
That's
go.
it. It's happening. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's how we'll start because like I can't do history because there's no like real history. It's only 10 years of history. That's stupid.
Sure. I mean, like, but you can hit it. Like,
should I start each year? So in 1980, no.
but like you can say what happened in the 80s, right, as an overarching thing. But like we know the Roaring 20s, like Prohibition, right? So like
Right.
in the 80s, is there like an overarching
Yes.
historical?
We're gonna go through all that.
Okay,
We're gonna
okay.
go through that. Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
are doing history.
Yeah, we're gonna do some
Okay,
version
okay.
of that. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go back and we'll start. Okay, where did this whole thing started? Right.
Okay.
Like so 1860s. I'm gonna start there because I'm saying that was sort of like the OG, most
sorry.
defining decade ever.
1860.
1860. So when I was looking all this up, literally I said like in the last 250 years or 350 years, whatever. I don't remember what it was. 1860 is sort of the first recorded OG decade because of the Civil War. Right?
Okay.
So that's like how
Hold on, I'm confused.
Yes.
So you're talking about decades, the coolest decades.
the 1860s.
And
is
the
like
1860s
it's like the grandfather of all decades.
Okay.
Yes, that's where it all started. So
Not
like,
what I would have picked.
right, no, me neither.
Sorry,
right?
continue.
But I learned all this. So like in America anyway, it was the Civil War, right? And I'll quote, "It was the first time in modern history that a single decade produced a massive, irreversible transformation that reshaped a nation's identity, institutions, culture, and future."
Huh.
So in the United States,
I
the
mean,
American
the Civil War is
War,
a big deal.
right? It ended slavery. It changed politics, but it also rewired like all of our social and moral framework, like of the entire country. And then I looked up globally, the 1860s marked the rise of the Industrial Revolution, industrialization,
Oh.
technological advancements all over the world. So it wasn't just an American thing.
Got it.
Okay.
So is that the same with the 20s, 60s, and the 80s? Like it's a global decade, or are we just specifically America focused?
Oh yeah, no, they're global.
They
oh
all
yeah,
are.
yeah, no, they're all global.
So even
yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
But like, how come the 2000s aren't in there with like Y2K and the internet?
Dun, 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 dun. I'll tell you why.
Oh my gosh.
We'll get there. Yeah,
How
it's
about
all
like
good.
2020? Why is that not iconic? We were all locked up.
2020.
I mean, we're
It
still
probably
living
will be.
it, but
Right.
oh,
More to come on that
okay,
one.
Okay,
We'll
okay,
see.
okay.
Yeah, sure, totally global. I mean, but like every region has its own like few decades that really mean something to them specifically, right? But the 20s, 60s, and 80s sort of made it like worldwide. But like
Okay.
India had the independence movement in 1940, so that's like super
Oh,
massive for
okay.
them. South Africa, they had the whole post-apartheid thing in the 1990s. That's massive for them. Latin America, they went through all the political turmoil and bullshit all over the place in the 70s. So different parts of the world experience sort of big shifts in different decades, yes.
Uh-huh.
But here's the wild part, okay? Like about the 20s, the 60s, and the 80s. This is why they end up on top like all the time. So the 20s had the invention of film, the spread of modern fashion, and the whole idea of nightlife culture that didn't exist before then. So that was worldwide. That's what made the 20s so iconic. The 60s, we talked about protest cultures, social liberation, and the spread of rock music to everyone on every continent, save probably Antarctica, unless the penguins got like, you know,
Sure.
some
I'm
rock
sure
music.
Elvis went to
right?
Antarctica.
And then, of course, the 80s, our decade du jour today.
Yeah, I mean, I was
the
born.
80s,
What else is so cool
right.
about it?
They launched global pop culture, global tech culture, and global media. So
Fair.
every region does have its own sort of defining decade, but these three keep showing up because they weren't just local in their like respective countries.
Right.
They were like broadcast to the world.
So again, then why isn't
Yes.
2000 listed on that list?
Spoiler, it's a little too new, but there are a few reasons why. But it's still a little too new, so history has
Oh,
not quite
interesting.
decided
It's not,
yet.
It's not ancient yet,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the 80s.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So for some quick psychology behind all this, so you know we can feel cultured
Okay.
and curious, because we have to do psychology in every
Sure.
episode to feel
Yes.
cultured and curious. Yeah. We know that humans are innately like emotional beings, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So by default, then, we're designed to remember things that have some sort of hand in shaping our identity or making like a big impact, like a big moment in life we'll never forget, right? This is what we're designed to remember because we're emotional. So the decades that like really stick are the ones that feel those like big cultural turning points. That's the whole point. Like the world shifted suddenly, and then there was a before and an after. So like you said with the pandemic, my instinct says the 2020s will be one of those decades. It's just historically not there yet. We're still living
Got
it,
it.
so it doesn't count.
Okay.
But if you fast forward 50 years, my instinct says the 20s are going to be the next one. I don't think the 2000s will make it.
Really?
But they could.
Okay.
But I think the 2020s will probably be one.
okay.
Yeah. Oh, and another one, right? Like the Civil Rights Act in 1964, whatever it was. So you had the late 50s where legally we had a segregated country that was still like that was still real. Okay. Then after 1964 and the Civil Rights Act, you had like a brand new country forced to like equality was like the baseline.
Okay.
Right. So those are like massive turning points where people are
what
like
you're basically
before
saying
and afters.
is that
There's
it's a whole shift culturally that changes the whole culture, whole country, and also globally.
Yeah.
That's something just 180'd.
Yeah.
But how come then, so spinning off of the Civil Rights Act, like you talked about the Civil War, so like obviously the Civil Rights Acts were because of the Civil War.
100 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So why then aren't like all wars? Because I feel like World War II was a bigger deal than the Civil War.
Well, shit, because you just
And
know
I get
more.
like Civil War.
You probably just know more about World War II. That's all.
No, but I mean like it's another global thing, right? Like the Civil War was just here.
Yeah.
And it affected
No,
America.
you have a good point. So here's what I would good point. I was able to figure out at least about the world wars. Like the wars overshadow the decade. So it's like, what's the word? Traumatizing.
Okay.
People like it ends up defining the decade so much that even though the world changed, it's too emotionally jarring for people. So the reason that the Civil War specifically was the OG, right, is because it brought the country back together. Then I talked about Industrial Revolution all over the rest of the world, right? In our case, it brought a country back together.
Yeah.
With the world wars, folks were just happy to live through it. So it didn't end up at the end of it.
Well, and I could see like it not being iconic,
right?
Because we're also traumatized that we don't want to be
it
like.
lasted
Ooh.
through decades.
That's true.
So it started in the 30s in some areas, went to the 40s. Like so that's all I could sort of conjure up about the world wars and why those didn't quite make it, right?
Okay.
Or then like I think of the 70s because I think you said at the beginning something about 70s, right? So Watergate, like Nixon, big deal,
Right.
like that whole thing. But
like the 70s, I was thinking more of like a cultural phenomenon, which was like the hippie movement, right?
Yeah.
Peace, love,
60s.
wear my bra. But
you're a little off.
was that 60s?
Yeah, that was late 60s. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So really the 60s
So
are
it bled into
iconic.
the 70s, and the 70s were sort of like the follow decade.
Got it.
Which is kind of like what
happened in the
yes.
60s.
It's sort of exactly what happened in the 90s too, where folks like so your generation would be like the 90s are so excellent. The 80s sort of just like bled into the 90s.
So the 90s happened because of what happened in the 80s.
Yeah. So
but that was like that's what we're talking about though, that it's like a switch in society.
That's the idea.
Something is different.
That's
okay.
the idea anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why those ones like keep resurrecting themselves. Like not just because they were fun. Let's say they were formative.
Right. I was gonna say it's like a definitive decade where like something
that's
happened.
Right. Yes.
But okay. Well, anyway, are we gonna talk about the 80s or are we gonna keep rambling?
Oh, we're gonna talk about the 80s.
Okay, good. Because I was like 4. Not even. I was like 3.5.
I know.
Not even. I was 3 and 4 months.
Okay. Settle
Till
down.
it was over.
It's an absolute shame you missed it. It was glorious. Okay.
I mean, I got to live it in the 90s. I just didn't know what it was like pre.
Yeah. Okay.
70s child you.
Yeah.
So are we ever going to talk about the 80s or are we just going to keep rambling?
I'm going to get all up in my feels if we talk about the 80s. I might cry a little bit.
Okay, good. Cry. Let's go. I mean, I was only like 3 years old and 4 months, so I don't have a lot of
I was only
experience in the 80s.
I was only like 8 years old. Okay.
8?
Well, at the beginning of the 80s. Let's go. We're going to talk about the 80s and how it basically built our entire operating system that our modern world, Amanda,
that's
still,
a kind of stretch.
No, still runs on.
Stretch.
Listen, here we go. I'm serious, okay?
Okay, but also like the 80s was like the decade of neon.
Yeah.
Big hair.
That's fun stuff. That's the fun part. Okay, remember Jaws? Remember the invention of the summer blockbuster in 1975? Yeah. Okay. 80s grabs that thing, turns the whole movie, film, television industry, everything into a machine.
But it's like
Okay.
E.T. It's like the rise
Yes,
of...
this was it. This was absolutely
you know.
it. Movies started becoming global phenomenons. Up till this point, nothing close. I mean, technically. You could say, like, well, the 70s and Spielberg and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I got it. But, like, studio, remember, this is the operating system. So back in the 70s, they didn't have the operating system. It was, like, one and done. They, like, did something magical. They had lightning in a bottle. Then in the 80s, studios figured out how to build the franchise.
Okay.
They built the ecosystem. They built the machine
Okay.
to make the whole thing work. So when you think about literally any movie you watch today was spawned from the 80s.
Huh.
Whether they were like original comedies back in the 80s or whether they were the action thrillers, whatever it was.
Sure. Okay.
Every one of them goes back to somehow because the 80s were involved in sort of kicking off that next level of film. So like the 20s started it all, right? But the 80s rebooted it and we're still using it 40 years later, the same concept. You with me?
You're talking about like this how cult classics came along.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's everything. It's even think of like all the franchise stuff, all the merchandise that's available, all the soundtracks. The movies are.
Oh, you're just
they're
saying more like
massive.
capitalism of
movies
it
are
than it is.
they made it, like I said, a phenomenon.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Then same time, whole another industry, 80s, you have home tech. Okay. So before the 80s, no home tech. You did have tech.
Yeah.
But there was no access to tech in the 70s and like my dad had to go to work and like use the big supercomputer at work.
Oh, yeah.
You with
yeah,
me?
Yeah.
Right. So the 80s, everything came into your house.
Yes.
So video games for the first time, home computers for the first time, the VCR for the first time, all of this entertainment went from external to internal.
Huh.
And the 80s turned that
Yeah, the
whole
20s
thing.
are really fucked.
What? What do you mean?
Because we have too much access to all this.
Oh, now you do.
In the 20s.
Yeah.
Like think about my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, they were born, in the 10s,
Right.
but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
as a 20s kid.
Yeah, we don't know.
Screwed.
The jury's out.
I don't know. And by the end of the 20s, we're supposed to have like robots who clean our house.
It's going to be nuts. And so that might be another shift. I don't know. But when you think of movies, think 80s. When you think of home, like access to all technology, think 80s, right? So I'm trying to get you to like sort of figure out, okay, I'm getting how this operating system, right? I'm trying to get in your head a little bit there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you also had MTV, right? Which might sound like, oh, well, duh, like MTV's been around forever. But this was the first time music became visual. So another massive shift. So up to that point, couldn't see anything, right? It was crazy. Now all of a sudden.
But you did. Elvis was on the TV.
Once a month?
So you're just talking specifically on like there was a channel that you could tune into music.
Literally. And then it changed how rock stars like prepped. They had to start wearing makeup. They had to start looking a certain way. They had to start behaving a different way.
Way too like down the rabbit hole.
It changed fashion. So back to your neon, to your what was it? The leg warmers and the neon.
Yeah.
Everything. Because
crazy.
everybody had to now look good, right? Which was like super overwhelming.
Okay.
And you had access all at one time. Right? So anywhere in the world, when you tuned into MTV, everybody was watching the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
For the first time. Now you could do that everywhere, right? I could game.
But see,
with you.
here's like my fear.
What?
I don't know. This is just like heightening my anxiety over everything. But my fear is ultimately like you think about now in the 20s and like everything is in the palm of our hands. I mean, that started 2000s.
Literally. Yes.
But it's frightening.
I know.
Okay. Anyways.
But excellent.
Okay. So we have movies. Home technology.
Yes.
And then evidently MTV somehow. Like I don't even.
Yeah.
That
all
blows
the
my mind how that
played
like
on
is the
MTV.
same like the same level.
Whatever.
But is there anything else?
Cul-de-sacs.
I'm sorry, what?
Cul-de-sacs, baby.
That came in the 80s?
Let's go.
I mean, I love my cul-de-sac, let me tell you.
So I think you're like calling me out on all the little nuances. So no, they actually started in the 50s and 60s. Okay. But same bear with me. I got an argument for every one of these, okay? Cul-de-sacs. So the difference is in the 80s, suburbia started becoming its own culture. So up till that point, even through the 70s, even though they already had suburbs, they already had cul-de-sacs, culture was still considered urban or like city or like political. It wasn't like the default experience to like live in a cul-de-sac. Kids in the 70s like did not have the same freedom that kids in the 80s had. It was a totally different time. So they were still dealing with like the New York financial crisis, Wall Street, Watergate, Vietnam ending. It wasn't until the 80s when the malls, Stranger Things, the malls, right? Everybody started building malls, became the new social hub.
Fair.
Right? We talked about, and also the two parent working dual income,
Dinks,
whatever
but
you
they
call
have
them.
kids. Dual income, no kids.
Sort of for the first time, two parents are now working. So
Oh, you meant with
like,
kids.
yeah.
Okay, dual
So
income parenting. Got it.
The 80s for me, like I did grow up like Stranger Things. I grew up like that. I went out on my bike. My parents didn't see me for 10 hours. Like they didn't give two shits where I went. You couldn't pull that off in the 70s. There wasn't enough people that had moved to the cul-de-sacs yet.
Okay.
Now, for the first time, this suburbia became official, where kids were now growing up in a different and unique culture for the first time.
But like,
does that make sense?
But was that culture for the kids and being able to be out not because of the movies that came out in the 80s where all the kids were heroes and said they were all out? Or is it that the movies portrayed these heroes because that's what the kids were doing? Like,
Yes.
which was first?
Second one.
Okay.
Yes. The culture influenced the movie.
Okay.
So if you think of the Goonies or you think of E.T., you think of all those movies, yes.
Okay. So it's a perfect encapsulation of that time with kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
And the
absolutely.
free range.
Yeah.
Come home when the lights come on.
Yeah, that and like sort of the whole Russia-United States Cold War thing helped a lot too. Because there was that like underlying...
How does that help?
Stranger Things, dude. They hate Russians. Where are
Oh,
you
well,
at?
sure, but like...
Duh, right?
But I mean, it doesn't really help to like...
No, so
in
here's
the sense
why.
of kids being free range.
So sort of. Because actually it's weird because I don't even know if you remember Chernobyl, like because that happened in like 86.
Nope.
Like the nuclear meltdown.
When I was 0 years old.
In
Yeah,
Russia.
yeah.
Okay, fine. So like there was this underlying, it was weird. I remember my parents, there was this low level of tension everywhere in the 80s of like, go be free and do whatever you want because the world could end tomorrow. Like literally. And I remember when Chernobyl happened, my family panicked and they were like, oh, you can't go outside. And we're like, what? We can't go outside. Well, you know, radiation and we could die. And I'm like, radiation? What the fuck are we talking? It was super weird. So there was this backdrop of tension that made us that much more willing to take risks and have more fun with our freedom. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I think that's what, honestly, like, I know we weren't supposed to talk about Stranger Things or whatever, but like that's what ties Stranger Things all together with this whole thing. Because they have the whole underlying Russians against the American. It's where it was. It spawned from that. That was the whole point of it. Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So besides in the 20s, 60s, and 80s, we have obviously the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 70s, the 90s. So why
2000s, 2010s.
Yeah,
yes.
but you said you already said those ones don't count because they're too new.
Yeah. So let's explain real quick. Okay. So 40s overshadowed by World War II, right? All the trauma, like we already said. So they weren't reinventing any culture. They were just trying to live. They were like freaking out.
And then there's 50s.
The 50s, cute. Nostalgic, right?
Sure.
All that fun stuff. Not transformative. They had diners, poodle skirts, early TV, but didn't change society.
The only thing that changed was like Grease.
New vibe. Yeah. Well,
but Grease wasn't even from the 50s.
Grease was 70s.
Yeah. It's the 70s?
Grease came out in the 70s, but it was
They had poodle skirts.
But no, it was based in the 50s. But it came out in the 70s.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Is that like
no, I got you.
Our biggest iconic memory of the 50s
yes.
is of Grease, whatever happened in Grease.
And TV does matter. I mean, don't get me wrong, but just not enough. That's all.
Huh. Which is kind of shocking because everything now comes from
tell me about
when the television came into the home.
I thought so too. I was learning a lot about
this. And TV dinners.
Here we go.
I'm just saying.
I know. All right. 50s runner-up.
Sure.
Okay.
I would have to say.
70s disco, Watergate, economic collapse, cults, Vietnam. We talked about that. So just chaos. So too much was going on for the 70s to have an identifier.
Okay.
Like it was just wonky.
Yep. Got the 80s and then the 90s just kind of rolled
90s,
up. 90s,
like the 50s. So not the architecture of the 80s. Fun and awesome, but didn't fundamentally rebuild anything.
Change anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then 2000s, September 11th. Right, 2001, you talked about Y2K, so reality TV. There was some shit going on there. So I'm saying the jury's out on 2000. And then 2010s, like you were saying, everything went digital, streaming, social media, the whole thing. It's just not that old yet, so I don't know.
Right.
So like 2010s, I don't know. We got to wait.
All right.
Shit's still settling.
I mean.
We will have to see.
We definitely do.
I'll tell you what. I'll be dead, so I won't know when it starts to get iconic. You'll probably still be alive barely, like an old grandma with gray hair. Somehow shoot me a note from beyond.
I mean, it's probably going to definitely be my kids because like I was born in 80s and now 80s are cool.
Right.
And so they were born in 10s.
Right. So like 10s are good. No, but the 60s and the 80s, that was only 20 years apart. So it could be the 2000s.
That's my point.
I don't know. Right.
My kids would know. They'd be sitting where I'm sitting being like, oh, my kids, that kid's the coolest.
Right. Yeah. Who the fuck talks about the 80s anymore? That was so stupid.
Okay, so I understand the 80s. I understand why, obviously, it's iconic. Stranger Things. I know we keep referring back to that, but that's like, I think
because it's the best show ever
the
created.
Sure. But I think it's more so that it's just like such a cultural phenomenon today that takes place in the 80s.
Yes.
That if we are looking, I mean, kind of like how Grease was an encapsulation of the 50s,
yes.
it's kind of the same thing, I think, for Stranger Things and the 80s.
Yes.
And so what else, I guess, from Stranger Things? Because I think people have seen it enough that they can then relate and pinpoint those exciting parts of the 80s from the show, right? It's relatable, I guess what I'm saying. Maybe this is our culture
but like for two reasons. Yes, of course, the music was good, and like, you know, the malls and like the hair and the bikes. I get the whole, like, they set the vibe right.
Okay.
But it's way bigger than that. First of all, the one thing I do want to say that is amazing about Stranger Things, I know you didn't specifically ask here, but like the fact that it came out right now was genius by the Duffer Brothers, because...
But that's when they grew up.
Right. And you have kids that they made it kid friendly, so like it's right, subject to some debate, but my point is, you got folks my age who are watching it with their children
because it's nostalgic.
Because it's nostalgic to me,
right? But then
my
the kids are
think
invested.
It's right. They are invested. So like, genius move there. But I think it had more to do with, they built the psychology out. That was the cool part of this whole thing. So think about like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if you remember Dungeons. You don't know Dungeons and Dragons.
I mean, one of our best friends plays. So
got it. Okay, my brother did a little bit and everything, and that's a shame.
I didn't realize D&D was such a thing back then.
Yeah,
I thought it was a new thing. But anyways,
it's a very nerdy thing too. Yeah. Okay. So my point being, parents at that time were scared to death of that. Like, they thought it was satanic. Like, no bullshit. That's absolutely what was going on. Like you just said about the Russians, we were freaked out by the Russians because we thought the Russians had nuclear weapons and they were going to kill us. So that was a massive problem we had. Even the music that, like, remember Eddie in season 4, like all
the hard rock and
scared the shit out of parents, freaked them out. Oh my God, like people are going to go around listening to that music and then go kill people or commit suicide because of it. So it was all some crazy shit. The Hawkins Lab. Even the Hawkins Lab, I did not know this, was based on something. Check this one out. So I had to look all this up. In the 1950s, the government launched something called MK Ultra, which was a real CIA program that experimented with mind control and psychedelics all throughout the 50s and 60s. So not in the 80s, but back in the 50s and 60s. Okay. So even though it was over, the government hid the whole thing until 1978. It finally got out. So then everybody knew what the government had done.
Yeah.
So you get to 1980, everyone was freaking out about our own
that it
CIA,
was
and it was
actually based off
on
of
that whole concept. I didn't know that either. So I'm sitting here. So I think of like government mind control in Russia and like D&D and all that stuff. Like the Duffer Brothers got us inside of the brain of parents and kids in the 1980s. Like, so it was all psychological. It wasn't just like all the cool stuff, even though like you're watching for the cool stuff, of course. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They killed this. They absolutely murdered this. I cannot wait. We're watching it on Christmas?
Yeah. I'm ready.
Am I coming over?
Yeah, you can come over.
What time does it drop? Like 5 p.m.? Christmas? Or is it Christmas Eve or Christmas not? Is it Christmas?
I don't know.
Shit. Okay.
But there's one that's dropping in the theaters and dropping at home or something, right?
I think that's the finale. I think that one's on January 1st.
Got it.
So I think it's December 31st, and then on January 1st you can go watch it in the theaters.
And whatever it is. Yes, we should have a viewing party.
I don't want to watch it in the theaters.
No.
No, like I don't want people talking through it or screaming or whatever. I want to get my...
I mean, for me, it's like it's an in-home thing.
You know what I want to do?
But
I want to get cozy.
Cozy.
I want to get Hugo. That's what I want to do. A little bit of Hugo.
Get all nice and cozy. Okay, well...
Did I convince you?
I mean...
Do you feel convinced that the 80s
I was convinced at the beginning that the 80s was
okay.
always the best.
All right.
But what I think for most people who are listening is to recognize that it was such an iconic time that here we go with our current culture phenomena of Stranger Things, that it was based in the 80s and based on this change in culture that was happening, which I don't think anybody would have picked that out. Like, unless you compare it and you think about it that way.
Right. And
your
so
perspective is different.
You know how I told you sometimes episodes, like when I do my research, I'm like, okay, I'll try to get into this. And sometimes I love it. Yeah. This was one of the ones where I was like, oh my God. I was geeking out.
Well, if you're geeking out so much, what are our fun facts?
Oh my God.
Because I feel like there's a ton of fun facts
for the 80s. Yeah. Let me start with this first excellent fun fact.
Okay.
You're going to love this one.
I'm ready.
Back to Stranger Things. I appreciate that the Duffer Brothers added in the character of Mr. Wheeler. You know Mr. Wheeler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's very halcyonic, isn't he?
Yes.
Did I do good?
I guess so.
Did I get it in? Did I make sure I shot it in?
I guess so.
It took a long time to get there, but I was like, I got to get it in. Okay. That's what she said. Okay. All right.
God.
Number one. Here we go. So we were talking about MTV earlier. Okay. Well, basically this whole episode we're talking about MTV. When it first launched in 1981, it only had 116 music videos in their library. No, that might sound like a lot. You might be like, well, wait a second. That's a lot. What the fuck are you bringing this up for, Peter? But hold on. if each video is about, 3 or 4 minutes long?
Yeah.
I don't know. Más o menos. Okay, that's only 6 hours on the long side of playtime.
Right.
But it had to run 24 hours. So like they were on a
there's like
6
a lot
hour
of, like,
loop.
interview, talk.
They didn't
and
have
blah,
all
blah,
that
blah.
yet. So if you go all the way back and watch the original,
Really?
like, oh my God, watch the first month.
Huh.
Watch the first month of MTV. It was bad.
I mean,
it was bad.
like in all fairness,
But they did it.
I did not have cable growing up.
Yeah.
So I actually didn't know what MTV was until I was in high school.
I had to run over to my friend's
in
house.
the 2000s.
I had to go,
so
oh my God, you're so cool. I had to go next door. My parents were cheap AF. We ran next door. Okay, anyway, number 2, CDs. You know CDs? You
Yeah.
remember CDs? Okay, so the first CDs were built to hold exactly 74 minutes of music.
Why 74?
74, right? Why not 6, 7, 6, 7? Okay.
Oh God.
They wanted to fit the entire Beethoven's 9th Symphony on it without interruption. The entire digital format was basically engineered so some fat guy wouldn't have to get up out of his chair and flip the record. How do you like that?
That's funny.
I like that. That's a good technological
So
breakthrough there. Yeah, because he was sitting
I
down
don't
all
know.
halcyonic.
I'd get so
Okay.
mad when mine got scratched and it would like.
I know. CDs were cool. I like CDs. Okay, number 3. In the mid-'80s, the Pentagon, okay, accidentally left a modem line open that anyone could dial into. Anyone. It was wide open. No passwords, no firewalls. It was a
That
total
seems like
mistake. No,
so bad.
total randos could dial in. In the 1980s, that's what people did for fun. You have to remember, we didn't have anything else to do. So we were like cold calling, but we would do crank calls all the time, like back in 1980s.
That's crazy.
So check this out. The government just assumed nobody had computers yet because like home
Sure.
computer, right?
Yeah.
They assumed anybody who did was just like good guys that had computers. So anyway, like people were
Like such
listen,
a bad idea.
people broke into like nuclear research labs.
I'm
Like,
sure.
it was insane.
Hackers didn't just come about then.
It took
Come on
them
now.
a few years to get it all locked down.
No one ever
Now,
said the government was smart.
what is that all about? That's bullshit. I hope people like went to jail for that.
But like
shit.
that idiocracy right there, I think is so well showcased in Stranger Things
Oh
with the
my God,
government.
right. It was insane. I couldn't believe that one. I was like, whoa, okay. Number 4. Do you remember Pac-Man, the video game Pac-Man?
Duh.
Yeah, okay. So Pac-Man technically had a perfect score possible. A perfect score. I don't know. I played Pac-Man, but I wasn't that good at it. No human actually ever pulled it off in 1980. It was set at 3,333,360 points. And that's if you ate every pellet, every Energizer, every ghost, every fruit, plus survived some kill screen at the end. It took all the way till 1999. 1999 before some dude named Billy Mitchell. Billy wasn't Stranger Things.
He was.
Anyway, Billy Mitchell pulled it off with just the right amount of pizza grease on his joystick.
That's just so much
He
commitment.
hacked the game.
I don't have that much commitment.
Okay, whatever. I just love my fun facts. Okay, number 5. Did you know that Japan?
I also love you said joystick.
That's what
Like
it was.
I know, but that's like such a throwback.
Yes, absolutely.
That's so crazy.
I know.
Sorry, continue.
Joystick. I have one in my garage.
Oh, you do?
I have the old style video game in my
Oh.
garage, so I still
Yeah.
still play
And
it.
just note
Yeah.
for anybody who's listening
What?
who doesn't know, you're talking about the stand-up
Yes, arcade game.
arcade game.
Yes, totally.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
'Cause,
Number 5.
I mean, everyone plays on their phone now. Anyways, whatever.
They
Continue.
do. Well, you don't play Pac-Man on your phone.
No, you can. I'm sure. I'm sure there's an
Yeah,
app for that.
probably.
Continue.
All right, can I get on number 5?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, Japan. Japan had the concept of the camera phone. The camera phone in 1982. Thank you, 1980s. But the technology to do it was just not like available yet.
Okay.
So it just sort of existed floating around in the ether. They had it patented. Took them 20 years until basically the year 2000 when cell phone technology caught up and Japan finally pulled it off. It had a 0.1 megapixel camera and could store 20 photos.
That's amazing.
That was it. Compare that to today, where an iPhone has 48 megapixels and can basically store unlimited photos.
I mean, but man, that was just like revolution in itself because
I know.
everything was film.
I know.
And then all of a sudden,
That's how it works.
take one and see it immediately. Blew people's minds.
All right, we're talking about movies. Number 6.
Okay.
You want to know how much a movie ticket cost back in 1980?
Yeah, $5.
$2.30.
No.
Yeah.
Dang.
$2.30.
I mean,
You
we just
could-
went on Thanksgiving and
there-
it was like $20.
$2.30. That's like,
Insane.
I don't even know what costs $2.30 today. A condom? Maybe? I don't even know.
Oh God. Well, why?
A pack of gum.
Why?
A pack of gum.
That's okay.
Okay, is that better?
More appropriate.
Right. Not a pack of condoms, a pack of gum.
Jesus.
Okay, I don't know. I haven't bought condoms in 40 years.
La la
All right.
la
All right,
la
here we
la
go.
la la.
All right, and finally, always save the best for last. In 1986, the U.S. government accidentally sent out a real, you're not going to believe this, a real nuclear attack warning. It was an actual DEFCON level message that was sent to all TV, all radio stations nationwide.
On purpose?
It was accidentally.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
accidentally.
goodness.
Saying that the United States was under imminent nuclear attack. and broadcasters were instructed to prepare for emergency programming. It took them 40 minutes to realize they made the mistake and shut it down. Super fun fact. Okay. The only reason it didn't cause mass panic, because like, of course, that would be your next natural question. Peter, what the fuck happened? No, it's because the emergency broadcast system broke. It didn't work. Yes. They literally could not play the message they were ordered. Oh. And that's why they built the emergency broadcast test message.
Why they test it?
Yes, that's why they test it now. Because when
thank goodness there wasn't a nuclear attack. Holy crap.
Thank God it didn't work.
Yeah.
Because they accidentally screwed the whole thing up. I couldn't believe that, right? I didn't even know
It'd
what
be
was
so
going
bad.
on. I was
so bad.
I was 13 years old. Okay, that's all I got. Fun facts out.
Well, that was kind of fascinating.
Well, thank
you. I mean, the fun facts were great. But I think the most fascinating part of it all was that, you know, the 80s isn't just about like neon and mixtapes, but like the psychology that was there, and like it's a cultural turning point. And
you're welcome.
Like if you get into the history, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
On how much is there.
Think of all these new listeners that are getting sort of sophisticated and learning about what this whole podcast is about.
Yes,
right?
But now I just want to like dig a little deeper and put on some like leg warmers, eat some Pop-Tarts.
Did you ever wear leg warmers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure did in the 90s.
I did.
So stupid.
No. Okay. When was the last time you had a Pop-Tart?
Oh God. Probably college.
I love Pop-Tart.
Dude, I used the cinnamon, the cinnamon brown sugar one.
God,
yeah, those ones.
Yeah.
I would live off of those.
Have you gone to the grocery store? They have so many kinds now. It's ridiculous. Because I bought them for my kids.
But now they have like the
crunchy,
and
everything.
Oh yeah, but they also have like the crunchy granola ones, like the ones that are not made with any artificial stuff. And I just feel like they don't taste the same.
They have Pop-Tart cereal now.
Oh,
they have everything.
Well, that's a lot.
I know, it's weird.
That's a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any like other deep dive thing I can go into?
You can deep dive. We can deep dive on anything. Yeah.
Always, I know.
All right, we'll deep dive. We'll sum it up.
Watch Stranger Things.
Right. Duh. Let's go. So watch Stranger Things. Okay, books. We'll do books. The 80s, One Day in America, or the Reagan years, or I Want My MTV.
Oh.
3 different concepts, all excellent, all different sort of like bents on the 80s. If you're not going to read, watch movies. Watch any 80s movie because they're awesome. Why not? But you should watch one called The Movies That Made Us. And that one is about how they made movies in the 80s. Huh. So it's sort of the best thing like to follow up this podcast episode, right?
Okay.
Instead of watching just like Goonies or something like that. Yeah. This one's like, we'll teach you something. Huh. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's sort of all I got. And then after that, just remember these sort of key takeaways to be sophisticated.
Here we go.
Number 1, what separated the 80s is that it wasn't just stylish, it was structural. The decade gave us the DNA of modern pop culture. Blockbuster storytelling, music as a visual medium, the rise of technology in our homes, and suburban life becoming main stage for American identity. Cul-de-sacs, people.
I love my cul-de-sac.
Cul-de-sacs are great. Number 2, the vibes were shaped by tension. We were talking about that. Behind all that neon and all the kids on the bikes, there was a Cold War undercurrent that influenced the tone of everything. Music, fashion, even humor. It was optimism wrapped up around anxiety. That's like the whole kind of point I was trying to make earlier. Number 3, the 80s blended youth culture and technology in a brand new way. So between MTV, home consoles, VCRs, and early computers, it was the first time entertainment became personal and portable, setting the blueprint for how we consume our media today. Number 4, the decade was global without trying to be. The cultural exports, music videos, blockbuster movies, fashion spread all over the globe. It was America's loudest decade by far, and the world heard it, whether they wanted to or not.
When we took off.
I know. That was it.
All right.
All uphill, baby. And finally, the 80s aren't nostalgia. They're influence. When you understand why the 80s still show up in TV, storytelling, music, you start to realize it's because we're still living inside that world that they built. And that, my friends, is being sort of sophisticated.
Real mind screw there.
It is, but it's true. Best decade ever.
And there you have it, dear listeners. Our totally rad deep dive into the decade that refuses to die.
Totally rad. Did you just do
totally rad?
We should have made rad. Or
you didn't even talk about Valley Girls.
Valley Girls? I know I didn't.
Oh, well, okay.
Oh my God, it's tubular.
Right.
Tubular.
From mall culture to Cold War shadows, the 80s weren't just a mood board, they were a cultural earthquake. And we're still feeling the aftershocks every time we stream a show, listen to a playlist, or binge watch a group of kids riding bikes straight into a Demogorgon. And
shout out to Stranger Things.
If we did our job today, you're leaving a little more curious, a little more aware, and maybe ready to rewatch your favorite 80s moments with new eyes, not just as nostalgia, but as the foundations of the modern world today. Whether it's your love of synth, your obsession with retro fashion, or your entirely justified fear of malls, the big takeaway is this: the 80s weren't shallow, they were transformative. And as always, if you like this episode, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who insists they were born in the wrong decade, but can't actually name a single member of Duran Duran. Till next time, stay curious, stay nostalgic, and remember, being sophisticated isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing why a decade from 40 years ago still owns our imagination.